William sat in his wheelchair, the world outside the window blurring into a tapestry of greens and browns. The soft rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze barely registered in his mind as he stared into the distance, his thoughts drifting like the clouds overhead. Memories flooded him, images of boardrooms filled with laughter, the sound of clinking glasses during celebratory dinners, and the thrill of closing a deal that had taken months to negotiate. Those days felt like a lifetime ago, a different era where he was a titan of industry, a man of influence and power. Now he was just a shell, confined to a chair, watching life unfold without him. He glanced down at his hands, once strong and capable, now frail and trembling. The accident had stripped him of not just his mobility, but also his identity. The man who could once command a room with his presence was now reduced to a mere observer. A sigh escaped his lips, heavy with despair. How had it come to this? The thought gnawed at him, a constant reminder of his inadequacy. He felt like a burden, not just to himself, but to everyone around him, especially to his son, Tyler. In the stillness of the room, William's mind turned to Tyler. The young man was a shadow of the boy he once knew. Tyler had been bright, full of dreams and ambition, but those dreams had dimmed over the years, obscured by resentment and anger. William had tried to reach out, to connect with him, but every attempt felt like throwing a stone into a deep well. No response, just silence. The guilt weighed heavily on him. He felt responsible for the rift between them, for the pain that had festered like an untreated wound. Just then, the sound of the front door slamming jolted William from his thoughts. He turned his head, squinting slightly as Tyler entered the house. The boy's disheveled appearance sent a shiver down William's spine. Tyler's hair was unkempt, eyes blazing with a fire that seemed out of control. The tension in the air crackled, and William braced himself, knowing that this was not going to be a pleasant encounter. "Dad!" Tyler's voice was sharp, slicing through the silence like a knife. "Do you have any idea what it's like to take care of you?" William's heart sank. He had expected anger, but the rawness of Tyler's words struck deeper than he could have imagined. "Tyler, No! Just listen for once!" Tyler interrupted, his face contorted in frustration. "I can't keep doing this. I'm not your caretaker. I'm your son." His hands clenched into fists at his sides, as if he were trying to contain the storm brewing within. "Tyler, I understand that this is hard for you," William replied, his voice steady despite the tremor of fear coursing through him. "I never wanted to be a burden. I just need some what? Sympathy? Pity? You think I want to spend my life looking after you?" Tyler spat, his anger erupting like a volcano. "You think this is what I dreamed of? I had plans, Dad, a future, but now I'm stuck here, trapped in this house with you." William felt the heat of Tyler's words burning into him, each syllable a reminder of his helplessness. "I didn't ask for this, Tyler. You think I wanted my life to turn out this way? I didn't choose to be in this chair. I'm trying my best here." Your best is dragging us both down. You've lost everything, and now I'm losing myself trying to keep you afloat." Tyler's voice trembled with the weight of years of pent-up frustration. "I can't do this anymore. I won't." The silence that followed was deafening. William's heart raced as he searched for the right words, but they eluded him, slipping through his fingers like sand. He had fought so hard to maintain a semblance of normalcy for Tyler, but now it felt like everything was unraveling. Tyler stood there, breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling with each breath. The pain etched on his face was unmistakable, and William realized that the boy wasn't just angry, he was scared. They were both scared. With a defiant huff, Tyler turned towards the door. "I can't deal with this right now. I need air," he muttered, his voice laced with desperation. As he stormed out, the door slammed shut behind him, reverberating through the house like a gunshot. William was left alone in the heavy silence, the weight of the confrontation crashing over him like a tidal wave. He felt hollow, the emptiness inside him deepening. The exchange had laid bare the fractures in their relationship, the unspoken words and unresolved feelings that had been festering beneath the surface for far too long. He glanced towards the door, as if hoping Tyler might return and they could somehow patch things up. but the only response was the echo of his own heartbeat, a remnant of the isolation that enveloped him. Outside, Tyler kicked a rock angrily, sending it skidding across the gravel path. Each step he took felt heavier than the last, his anger morphing into a deep, gnawing sorrow. He wandered aimlessly toward the woods, the trees looming like silent witnesses to his turmoil. The familiar surroundings that once brought him joy now felt suffocating, a cage from which he couldn't escape. As he moved deeper into the woods, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He had wanted to be free, to break away from the shadows of his father's past. Instead, he found himself entangled in a web of resentment, anger, and guilt. The air was thick with memories, and he was haunted by the image of the man he once admired. "Why can't you just be the dad I need?" he muttered to himself, his voice cracking. "Why did you have to change?" The questions hung in the air unanswered, lost among the rustling leaves and chirping birds. Tyler's footsteps faltered as he reached a clearing, the sunlight filtering through the branches above. He leaned against a tree, feeling the rough bark against his back, grounding him momentarily. But even here, in the heart of nature, he couldn't escape the turmoil within. He closed his eyes, taking a deep breath, trying to quell the storm inside. But all he could see was the disappointment on his father's face. The man who once held the world in his hands, now reduced to a whisper of his former self. Tyler's heart ached with the weight of their connection, the love that had been overshadowed by pain. In that moment, he felt adrift, unmoored from the relationship he had with his father, unsure of how to find his way back. The anger had felt justified, a shield against the vulnerability that threatened to consume him. But deep down, beneath the layers of rage, there was a flicker of something else, a desire for understanding, for healing. As he stood there, surrounded by the trees, a single thought pierced through the fog of his emotions. He needed to confront this, to face the truth of their relationship. But the path forward was unclear, and fear gripped him tightly. The woods were alive with sounds, but all Tyler could hear was the echo of his own heart, beating a rhythm of uncertainty. He had to find a way to bridge the chasm that had formed between them. But how? The answer eluded him as he stood there, lost in a tumult of feelings, uncertain of where to turn next. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden rays that filtered through the dense canopy of trees. Tyler's heart raced as he pushed deeper into the woods, his earlier rage gradually dissolving into a simmering confusion. The confrontation with his father echoed in his mind, but it was the weight of his own feelings that bore down on him now. Anger was one thing, but sadness and disappointment were far more complex emotions, ones that he felt utterly unequipped to handle. As he wandered, he stumbled upon a small clearing, and his breath caught in his throat. There, struggling against the earth, was a majestic eagle, a creature that once soared high above the treetops, now trapped beneath a fallen branch. The sight struck Tyler deeply, a reflection of his own life. He hesitated, his instincts battling within him. The beast's fierce eyes met his, filled with a mix of fear and defiance. Tyler felt a pang of empathy that he hadn't expected. "Why do you have to be so stubborn?" he muttered, kneeling beside the eagle, unsure of what to do next. He could sense the creature's pain, its wing pinned at an awkward angle. "I know how you feel, stuck and helpless." He reached out cautiously, his fingers brushing against the feathers, soft yet ruffled. The eagle squawked, its beak snapping in warning, but Tyler didn't pull away. Instead, he remained still, contemplating the creature's struggle. He could easily turn back, retreat to the comfort of anger, but something compelled him to stay. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. "Come on, I can't just leave you like this." With a mixture of tenderness and determination, he began to lift the branch that held the eagle captive. The bird flapped its wings, a frantic attempt to escape, but Tyler spoke softly, almost pleading. "Easy there, I'm trying to help." He could feel the weight of the branch shift, and with one final push, it slid off the eagle's wing. The creature paused, momentarily stunned, and then it took flight, soaring into the sky with a grace that left Tyler breathless. As he watched the eagle disappear into the horizon, Tyler felt a strange sense of release wash over him. The bird wasn't just an animal, it represented freedom and resilience. qualities he desperately wanted to reclaim in his own life. He stood there for a moment, absorbing the significance of the encounter. Perhaps he could find a way to break free from the anger that had consumed him, just as the eagle had escaped its bonds. Meanwhile, back in the house, William sat in his wheelchair, staring at a blank sheet of paper. The room was quiet, save for the faint rustling of leaves outside the window. Each tick of the clock amplified his sense of isolation, and he felt the weight of regret settling heavily on his chest. The argument with Tyler replayed in his mind, each word a reminder of their fractured relationship. He longed to reach out, to express the love. He felt for his son, but doubt clawed at him, rendering him paralyzed, not physically, but emotionally. William picked up the pen, his hand trembling slightly as he poised it above the paper. "Tyler," he began, the name slipping from his lips like a prayer. "I know things have been hard between us. I never wanted to be a burden." He paused, the pen hovering as he fought back the swell of emotions. "I've lost so much, and I can only imagine what you feel. I wish I could take away your pain." He stopped writing, pushing the paper away in frustration. How could he articulate the depth of his feelings when he struggled to even understand them? The words felt inadequate, a pitiful attempt to bridge a chasm that seemed to widen with every passing day. A deep sigh escaped his lips, and he leaned back in his chair, gazing at the faint light filtering through the window. He felt utterly defeated, the letter an unfinished promise that he feared would remain unsent. As the shadows lengthened, William's thoughts drifted to the moments he had shared with Tyler. He remembered the day he taught him to ride a bike, the thrill of watching him take off, wobbling and laughing with pure joy. But he also recalled the times he had failed to be present, consumed by work and ambition, leaving Tyler feeling neglected and alone. The weight of those memories pressed down on him, suffocating any hope of reconciliation. Hours passed, and night began to envelop the world outside. The only sound was the distant hoot of an owl, a reminder of the solitude that cloaked him. Just as he began to lose himself in despair, he heard the unmistakable sound of the front door creaking open. His heart raced, a mix of anticipation and dread. "Tyler?" he called out, his voice hoarse. He turned his head toward the sound, straining to see if his son had returned. The faint light from the hallway illuminated Tyler's silhouette as he stepped inside, his expression unreadable. "Hey," Tyler replied, his voice low. He hesitated in the doorway, as if unsure whether to step further into the room. I went for a walk." William's heart sank at the tone of Tyler's voice. Gone was the anger, replaced instead by a quiet vulnerability. "Did something happen?" he asked, searching his son's eyes for answers. Tyler shrugged, his gaze shifting away. I saw something in the woods." He took a deep breath, as if gathering his thoughts. "I found an eagle. It was trapped, and I helped it." The admission hung in the air, heavy with unspoken emotions. William felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. "You helped an eagle?" he repeated, a small smile breaking through his somber expression. "That's incredible." "It wasn't easy," Tyler admitted, his voice gaining strength. "But it made me think, about being stuck and wanting to break free." He stepped further into the room, and for the first time, William noticed the subtle shift in his son's demeanor. The anger that had driven Tyler away seemed to have dissipated, replaced by a contemplative resolve. "Sometimes we all feel trapped," William said softly, a hint of understanding weaving into his words. "It's hard to break free from what holds us down." Tyler nodded, his eyes meeting William's. "I guess I never really thought about it that way. I was just so angry all the time." He paused, and for a moment, the weight of their shared pain hung between them, fragile yet palpable. "I didn't realize how much I needed to let go." William's heart swelled with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "It's okay to feel lost, Tyler. We've both been through so much, but we can find a way to move forward together." He reached for the unfinished letter on the table, the words still raw in his heart, a bridge he longed to build. "I want you to know how much I care, no matter how things seem." As Tyler looked at him, a flicker of something shifted in his expression, an acknowledgement of their shared struggle. The night deepened around them, but within the confines of the room, A fragile thread of connection began to weave itself anew. The past still loomed large, but together, they could start to navigate the darkness ahead. The morning sun spilled golden light across the treetops, illuminating the vibrant greens of the forest surrounding Tyler. He stood at the edge of a clearing, transfixed by a sight that both exhilarated and soothed him. The eagle, once trapped and vulnerable, now soared effortlessly against the azure sky. With each graceful flap of its wings, it carved arcs through the air, embodying freedom and resilience, qualities Tyler yearned for in his own life. He felt an unexpected swell of hope, a feeling that had been foreign to him for far too long. "Look at it go," he murmured to himself, his breath hitching slightly. "If it can overcome that branch, maybe I can find my way out of this mess too." The eagle spiraled higher, a flicker of white against the blue, and Tyler's heart raced with a mixture of inspiration and longing. He closed his eyes, imagining what it would feel like to soar above his troubles, to leave behind the weight of resentment and despair. After a few moments of watching, he thought of his father, William, and the painful conversation they'd had the day before. Their argument echoed in his mind, the accusations, the hurtful words exchanged in anger. Tyler had been so consumed by his own frustrations that he had failed to see how his father suffered. The guilt crept in, prickling at the edges of his resolve. What if his father was just as lost as he was? What if the eagle's flight was a sign that it wasn't too late for them? Resolute, Tyler turned on his heel, heading back home. The path felt different today, as if the air around him pulsed with possibilities. He longed to bridge the chasm that had formed between him and William, to break through the barriers of pain and misunderstanding. The thought of reconciliation filled him with both hope and trepidation. Would his father even want to talk? Meanwhile, inside the house, William stirred from a restless sleep. The shadows of the night still clung to him, wrapping him in a familiar cloak of anxiety. He glanced at the clock. Tyler was late getting up, and a wave of concern washed over him. Part of him felt relieved. Perhaps Tyler needed space to think, but another part ached with worry. He had been a burden, and the guilt of that weighed heavily on his heart. William wheeled himself to the kitchen, his mind racing. He had thought long and hard about writing to Tyler after their argument, but uncertainty had kept him from hitting send. What if his words were too much? What if they pushed Tyler further away? Yet as he poured a cup of coffee, he felt an unexpected surge of courage. Maybe it was time to take the leap and share his feelings, to lay bare the regrets and love he had for his son. With shaky hands, he opened his laptop. The blank screen stared back at him, a canvas awaiting the brush of his thoughts. He began to type, the words flowing slowly at first, then gaining momentum as he poured out his heart. "Dear Tyler," he typed, pausing to breathe. "I know things between us have been strained lately. I can't help but feel that I've failed you as a father. I wish I could take back the hurtful things I've said." He hesitated, biting his lip. Would this be enough? Would Tyler understand? As he continued, he unwrapped layers of his vulnerability, revealing the depths of his feelings. He described the pain of his accident, how it had not only stolen his mobility, but had also reshaped his identity. "I'm scared, Tyler. Scared of being a burden. Scared of losing you. But I want you to know that I love you, and I want to be a part of your life if you'll let me." With a deep breath, William hit send, his heart racing as he watched the email disappear into the void of cyberspace, unsure if it would bring hope or further distance. Tyler, meanwhile, had made it to the park. He settled onto a bench, the cool breeze lifting his hair as he tried to clear his thoughts. The sight of the eagle lingered in his mind like an echoing mantra. He pulled out his phone, scrolling aimlessly until a notification popped up, an email from his father. His heart raced, a mix of dread and curiosity settling in. "Should I open it?" he asked himself, staring at the screen. The words, "Dear Tyler," felt heavy, like the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. He contemplated ignoring it, pushing it aside as he had done so many times before, but something deep within urged him to read it. Perhaps it was the promise of understanding, the hope of resolution that kept him glued to the spot. With trembling fingers, he clicked the message open. As he read, tears began to blur his vision. Each word from his father felt like a balm to his wounded heart. I wish I could take back the hurtful things I've said. Struck him particularly hard, and he felt the sting of his own harsh words echoing back to him. His father was scared, just as he was. The realization made the walls he had built around his emotions start to crumble. "I'm scared, Tyler," William had written. "Scared of being a burden. Scared of losing you." The admission resonated deeply. Tyler had always thought of his father as strong, unyielding, but now he saw the cracks in that facade. He imagined William, alone, feeling the weight of his own fears and regrets. Suddenly, the well of anger he had held onto felt misplaced, even trivial. As the tears streamed down his face, Tyler felt a shift within him. The eagle's flight, William's words, they all converged in a moment of clarity. Maybe this was the beginning of something new, a chance to mend their broken relationship. He wiped his tears with the back of his hand, taking a deep breath to steady himself. In that moment, he made a decision. He would talk to his father when he got home. They needed to confront their pain together, to find a way to heal. The thought filled him with both trepidation and excitement. For the first time in a long while, he felt he could see a path forward, a path that led to understanding, forgiveness, and perhaps even love. Standing up from the bench, he looked around the park as if searching for that eagle once more. "I can do this," he whispered to himself, a newfound determination surging through him. He began to walk back home, each step feeling lighter than the last, the promise of reconciliation guiding him toward his father. Meanwhile, William sat in the quiet of their home, his heart racing with hope and fear. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them if it meant reconnecting with Tyler. The eagle's flight lingered in his mind, a symbol of freedom, of healing. As they both moved closer to each other, the weight of their past began to lift, replaced by the delicate threads of hope. They were on the cusp of a new beginning, one that would require courage, honesty, and the willingness to embrace the vulnerability that came with love. Tyler stepped into the house, his heart pounding with a mix of determination and anxiety. The air felt heavy with unspoken words as he approached his father, William, who sat in his wheelchair staring at the floor as if it held all the answers. The silence was suffocating, wrapping around them like a thick fog, and for a moment, both men seemed trapped in their own worlds of pain and regret. "Dad," Tyler finally said, breaking the tension that hung like a taut string between them. William looked up, his eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and fear. "I want to talk." William nodded slowly, his expression cautious. "Okay." His voice was barely above a whisper. They settled into the living room, the familiar yet distant space filled with memories of laughter and love that now felt like echoes of a happier time. Tyler took a deep breath, his mind racing. He had thought about this moment all night, replaying the struggles they had endured and the words he wanted to say. "I had an experience yesterday with an eagle," he began, his voice steadying as he found his footing in the conversation. William's interest piqued, and he leaned forward slightly. "An eagle?" "Yeah, I found one in the woods. It was hurt, caught in a branch. At first, I didn't know what to do. I was angry, you know?" Tyler paused, searching his father's face for understanding. "But then I realized it was struggling just like me. I helped it free itself, and when it took off, it was like watching a part of me soar too." William's gaze softened, a flicker of pride mixed with sadness reflecting in his eyes. "You did the right thing, Tyler. That's what being human is about, helping those who can't help themselves." "Yeah," Tyler replied, a lump forming in his throat. "It made me think about us, Dad, about how I've been treating you. I've been so caught up in my own anger that I forgot you're struggling too." The room fell silent again, but this time it felt different. It was a silence filled with potential, a quiet space where both could dare to be vulnerable. William's hands trembled slightly as he clasped them together in his lap, his voice breaking the stillness. "I've been angry too, Tyler. Angry at myself. I never wanted this for you. For us." Tyler looked down, guilt washing over him. "I've felt abandoned since the accident. I thought you were just not there anymore, like you disappeared." "I didn't disappear," William replied, his voice rising slightly. "I'm still here, but I'm not the same person I used to be. I lost everything. My job, my mobility, my independence. I'm still trying to figure out how to be a father when I can barely take care of myself. Tyler's heart ached at his father's admission. I didn't understand that. I was so focused on my own pain that I couldn't see yours. I'm sorry. William sighed, the weight of their unspoken grievances hanging in the air. It's hard, Tyler. I didn't want you to see me like this. Weak. Dependent. I felt like I was letting you down. Dad, you didn't let me down. Not really. I wish we could have talked sooner. Tyler said, his voice cracking. I wish I could have seen you for who you are now, not just who you used to be. The revelation hung between them, a fragile bridge forming over the chasm of their shared pain. William looked at his son, his heart swelling with a mixture of love and regret. I want to be part of your life again. I want to help you grow just like I used to. I miss that connection. Tyler nodded, a glimmer of hope igniting within him. Maybe we can work on it together. You know, like physical therapy or something? I'd hate to see you just sitting around all the time. William chuckled softly, the sound a balm to the tension that had built up between them. Physical therapy, huh? I could use a partner for that, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for the gym just yet. Not the gym, Tyler said quickly, a smile breaking through his seriousness. I was thinking more like going to the park. We can do some exercises outside, maybe even find some new hobbies. Just be together. William's heart warmed at the thought. I'd like that. I really would. It's been too long since we shared something meaningful. As they continued to talk, the conversation shifted to plans for the future, their dreams intertwining in a way that felt both unfamiliar and comforting. They spoke of going for walks, of sharing stories and laughter, and of exploring the world outside the confines of their home. It was a tentative step toward healing, but it felt monumental. Maybe we can even start a project together, Tyler suggested, a spark of excitement lighting up his eyes. Something creative. We could document our journey or something, you know, like a scrapbook or a blog? William chuckled, picturing the idea. A blog? You think people would want to read about us? Why not? It could be inspiring. Just two guys trying to make it work, overcoming our struggles, Tyler replied, his enthusiasm infectious. William nodded slowly, the idea taking root in his mind. That could be a good way to process everything, and it might help others who are going through similar situations. Exactly, Tyler said, his voice brightening. We can show them that it's okay to be vulnerable, that healing isn't a straight line. It's messy, but it's worth it. As the conversation flowed, a sense of ease began to replace the discomfort that had once filled the room. They discussed the logistics of their plans, laughing and teasing each other like they hadn't in years. The air was charged with a newfound energy, and for the first time in a long while, they both felt a sense of hope. Tyler, William said, his tone turning serious as he glanced at his son, I want you to know that I'm proud of you. You've grown into a remarkable young man, even amidst all the chaos. Tyler felt warmth spread through him at his father's words. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. I've been trying to find my way, you know. It hasn't been easy, but I'm learning. I think we both are, William replied, a smile gracing his lips. We're learning to navigate this new life together. The room felt brighter, filled with the promise of healing and connection. They spent the rest of the evening planning their next steps, brainstorming activities, and sharing stories that reminded them of their shared history. With each word, the barriers that had once separated them began to crumble, revealing a bond that had always been there, waiting to be rediscovered. As the night deepened, a sense of peace enveloped them, a feeling that they were finally moving in the right direction. For the first time in a long while, both father and son felt lighter, as if the weight of their past was beginning to lift, allowing them to breathe a little easier. Tomorrow then? Tyler asked, glancing at his father with a hopeful smile. Tomorrow, William agreed, his heart swelling with anticipation. Let's make it a day to remember. And in that moment, they both knew that this was just the beginning of their journey, one that would take them through the shadows of their past and into the light of a promising future. With hearts open and spirits renewed, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm golden light through the window, Tyler found himself excited about a new venture, photography. He had spent the last few days experimenting with his camera, wandering through the woods and capturing the subtle beauty of nature. Each click of the shutter seemed to release the tensions that had been building inside him for so long. Today, he was determined to share his newfound passion with his father. "Dad!" Tyler called out, rushing into the living room where William sat in his wheelchair, engrossed in a book. The sight of his father, still and quiet, brought a wave of mixed emotions: love, guilt, and a tinge of sorrow. He had spent so much time resenting the man before him that he almost forgot how much he admired him too. "You have to see what I've been working on." William looked up, his brow furrowing in curiosity. "What is it, Tyler?" With a sudden burst of enthusiasm, Tyler pulled out his phone and began scrolling through the images he had captured. "Look at these!" He handed the device to his father, who took it with slightly trembling fingers. The first image displayed a delicate flower, its petals glistening with dew. "I found this one on my way to the creek. Isn't it beautiful?" William studied the photo, his heart swelling with pride. "It really is. You've got quite an eye, son." Tyler felt a warmth spread through him at his father's words. "Thanks, Dad. I've been thinking, maybe I should take a photography class. Learn more about it?" "I think that's a fantastic idea," William replied, his voice steady with encouragement. "You should pursue what makes you happy. It's important." The two of them shared a moment of silence, the air thick with unspoken words and newfound understanding. Tyler leaned closer, eager to share more of his work. "I've got some shots of the eagle, too. You remember the one I found, right?" William's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition lighting his eyes. "The injured one? How is it doing?" "It flew away," Tyler said, his voice laced with awe. "I saw it soaring over the woods yesterday. It was just incredible to see it free again. I can't explain how it made me feel." "I think I understand," William replied, his gaze drifting towards the window. "It's like reclaiming a part of yourself that was lost." "Exactly." Tyler's heart raced as he saw the connection forming between them, a bridge built on shared experiences and understanding. "Maybe I can capture that feeling in my photos, the freedom, the strength, everything." "That's a beautiful goal, Tyler. You have a gift, and I hope you nurture it," William said, his voice filled with sincerity. "You've got to let your creativity flow." The conversation turned to laughter as they shared stories of their lives before the accident. Tyler recounted memories of his childhood, filled with adventure and joy, while William listened intently, his heart warmed by the sound of his son's laughter. The walls that had kept them apart were slowly beginning to crumble. Later that afternoon, Tyler suggested they take a hike together, a chance to capture more images and spend quality time as father and son. William hesitated for a moment, the thought of navigating the uneven terrain in his wheelchair daunting. But the spark in Tyler's eyes was infectious, and he found himself nodding in agreement. "Let's do it," he said, determination creeping into his voice. "I'll find a way to make it work." As they ventured out, Tyler pushed William's wheelchair along the gravel path, the two of them immersed in the beauty surrounding them, the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, and the fresh scent of pine. William couldn't remember the last time he felt so alive, so connected to the world and to his son. "Look over there," Tyler exclaimed, pointing to an ancient tree with sprawling branches. "I want to get a shot of that. It looks majestic." With Tyler's help, they maneuvered closer to the tree, and Tyler began snapping pictures. William watched him, the way his son's face lit up with each click of the shutter, and he felt a deep sense of admiration. "You really love this, don't you?" he asked. "It's like I can see everything differently now," Tyler replied, turning the camera to capture his father's expression amidst the backdrop of nature. "I didn't realize how much I needed this until recently." "I'm proud of you, Tyler," William said, his voice barely above a whisper, "for finding something that makes you happy." As they continued their hike, they reached a scenic overlook that offered a breathtaking view of the valley below. Tyler set up his camera on a tripod and framed the shot, waiting for the perfect moment when the light seemed just right. William took a deep breath, soaking in the beauty of the landscape. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Tyler asked, glancing at his father. "It feels like we're finally getting to know each other again." William nodded, a soft smile gracing his lips. "It does. I never thought we'd have a moment like this again. I missed you, you know." "I missed you too," Tyler admitted, his voice thick with emotion. It felt like you were a different person after the accident. I was, William confessed, his gaze drifting towards the horizon. I lost a part of myself that day, but I've realized I can still be a part of your life, even if it's different from before. Tyler set the camera down and turned to face his father fully. I want to help you, Dad. I want us to make new memories together. Not just about the past, but about our future. Their hearts full, they stood in silence, the wind rustling through the trees, carrying with it the promise of healing. Just as Tyler felt a sense of peace enveloping them, his phone rang, shattering the moment. "Who is it?" William asked, noticing the tension in Tyler's posture as he glanced at the screen. Tyler's expression shifted from calm to shock, his heart racing as he read the name flashing before him. It's my mom." William's heart sank at the mention of Tyler's mother, a figure shrouded in pain and resentment for both of them. "What does she want?" he asked, an edge of concern creeping into his voice. "I don't know," Tyler replied, his voice trembling. "She just said she's back in town and wants to see me." William's mind raced, recalling the chaos their family had endured after her departure. "Tyler, this is a big deal. You don't have to answer if you're not ready." Tyler stared at the phone, his hands shaking slightly. "I don't know what to do, Dad. I thought I was finally moving on. And now..." His voice trailed off, lost in the confusion of emotions surging through him. "Whatever you decide, I'm here for you," William said, his voice steady and reassuring. "We can face this together." Tyler took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his father's support. But he was also aware of the storm brewing inside him, a mix of fear and uncertainty. As he hovered his finger over the screen, ready to answer, he couldn't shake the feeling that this moment could change everything. Again, Tyler sat on the edge of his bed, his mind racing with conflicting thoughts. The news of his mother's return had hit him like a thunderbolt, stirring up a whirlwind of emotions that he thought he had long buried. He could still remember the day she walked out of their lives, leaving behind a void that never truly healed. Now she was back, and with her return came the fear that the fragile bond he had begun to rebuild with William might shatter once again. "Dad, I don't know what to do," Tyler said, his voice thick with uncertainty. As he paced the room, he could feel the weight of his father's gaze from the living room, a silent invitation to come and talk. Taking a deep breath, he made his way downstairs, where William was waiting in his wheelchair, looking both concerned and hopeful. "Talk to me, Tyler," William encouraged, his tone gentle. "What's on your mind?" Tyler ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "It's Mom. She wants to see me. I thought I was okay with it, but now, I don't know. I'm scared, Dad. What if this is just another mess? What if she hurts us again?" William nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "I can't pretend to know what you're feeling, but sometimes facing the past is the only way to move forward. You've made so much progress, Tyler. I believe you can handle this." "Handle it?" Tyler scoffed, shaking his head. "It's not just about me anymore. What if it messes things up between us? I've finally started to feel like we're getting somewhere, and now she's back to throw everything into chaos." "Tyler," William said, his voice steady, "you have to think about what you want. This is your life, and you deserve to confront your feelings. I'll be here to support you, no matter what you decide." As Tyler contemplated his father's words, a sudden commotion outside broke his train of thought. Both father and son turned their heads toward the window, just in time to see an eagle swooping down from the sky, wings spread wide, casting a majestic shadow against the ground. "Look at that!" Tyler exclaimed, motioning toward the bird. "It's beautiful." The eagle landed a few feet away, its keen eyes scanning the ground. In a swift motion, it snatched something up from the grass, something that glinted in the sunlight. Tyler squinted, trying to make out what it was. Without warning, the eagle took off again, soaring into the sky, the object clutched tightly in its talons. "That was incredible," William said in awe. "I've never seen anything like it." "Yeah, but what did it just take?" Tyler wondered aloud, a sense of curiosity igniting within him. He hurried outside, William wheeling behind him, both eager to investigate the scene. As they approached the spot where the eagle had been, Tyler's heart sank. There on the ground lay a crumpled piece of paper, the very letter he had intended to write to his mother, filled with his pent-up emotions and fears. He bent down to pick it up, his hands trembling as he unfolded it. "What does it say?" William asked, his voice gentle but filled with concern. Tyler's eyes scanned the letter, and suddenly his breath caught in his throat. The words he had written in a moment of vulnerability spilled out before him like a confession. He had poured his heart into this letter, his longing for a connection, his fear of abandonment, and his deep-seated anger. But one line in particular stood out and sent a shiver down his spine. "I don't know if I can forgive you for leaving, but I want to understand why." "Tyler?" William's voice broke through his thoughts. "What's wrong?" "It's about Mom. I wrote about wanting to understand why she left, why she chose to walk away from us. I never intended for anyone else to see this. And now it feels like I'm exposed." "That letter was a part of your healing process," William said softly. "It's okay to feel vulnerable, but maybe this is a sign. You're meant to confront these feelings, not just with your mother, but with me too." Tyler looked up at his father, their eyes locking for a moment. The weight of the situation settled heavily between them, and in that instant, Tyler realized something important. The eagle's sudden appearance had brought forth a hidden truth he had been afraid to face alone. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. William shifted in his chair, his expression earnest. "You don't have to go through it alone. I'll be right here. Every step of the way. We can face this together." The eagle circled above them, its presence almost otherworldly, as if urging them to take the leap into the unknown. Tyler felt a strange sense of kinship with the bird, a shared struggle for freedom, for understanding, for healing. "Do you think she'll even want to see me?" Tyler asked, uncertainty lacing his words. "What if she's moved on? What if she doesn't care?" "Those are questions you'll only find answers to by reaching out," William replied. "It's your choice, Tyler. Just remember, you're stronger than you think. You've already faced so much." "I don't want to lose what we have," Tyler admitted, his voice trembling. "I don't want her to come between us again." "Tyler," William said firmly, "no one can come between us unless you let them. You have the power to set boundaries, to decide what you want from this relationship." As they stood there, the eagle gliding effortlessly in the sky, Tyler felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. Maybe it was time to confront his past. Maybe it was time to reclaim his narrative, to seek out the answers he had long been denied. "Okay," he finally said, his voice steadier. "I'll reach out to her. But if things get messy, I need to know you'll be there." "Always," William assured him, a warm smile spreading across his face. "We're in this together, no matter what." With a newfound sense of purpose, Tyler took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world begin to lift. The eagle soared above, a symbol of resilience and hope, reminding him that even the most broken wings could learn to fly again. As he looked at his father, he knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he also knew that they would face it side by side, ready to uncover the truths that lay buried in their past.